Hello, so the information on the clone stats is very inaccurate and even on the wiki is not updated regularly, so it's kind of deceiving. In my opinion, you should play with whatever clone you like, but you have to limit yourself to 2 or 3 clones per playthrough, even one sometimes. You'll not be able to maintain all of their equipment, you'll not be able to level them up, you'll not be able to improve the clone stats, you'll not be able to improve their weapons or their armor. It might seem like, hey, why don't I just give them the same class and the same armors and the same weapons? Well, it doesn't really work like that. You'll have to work way more to make them viable. But in the beginning and the mid of the game, you can play with whatever you like. The mid game really needs equipment, the beginning of the game really needs consumables. So also, you will want to have them higher rank. So even if you have clones that are upgraded, clones that have the best gear and so on, they also need kind of a good rank, because this plays a major part as well, as you can see from the bonuses. So let's look at Francis Reed Daly. Currently there are 12 clones. They have a lot of stats, and it's kind of inaccurate. So the health, is health important? Yes, because the only way to tank damage in, well, it might sound weird, but the only way to tank damage is to have a lot more health. If your clone, let's say, has 90 health versus 130, I think, well, it's not that bad, right? It's actually pretty bad because a lot of weapons in the game can crit. They can fire a lot of bullets. You might get hit by a lot of stuff when carrying a lot of items, because the more weight you have, the less dodge you have. And the less dodge you have, if you go on the negative, the enemies will get an accuracy to their guns. So that means you're actually buffing the enemies when you have negative dodge. So that means you'll get hit a lot more. So if you get hit with all of the burst bullets from a machine gun, or let's say even an SMG, you might kind of die. Or you'll not have enough HP to survive the round. So yeah, health is very, very important in the game. I recommend you have about 120 health if you can. And again, this kind of plays into the rank system as well, as you can see. So don't underestimate health. Besides, having a lot of armor without having enough health to tank the damage is kind of bad anyway. So to tank damage you need more health and more pain threshold limit. So it's kind of important, and this is where some clones might get killed more often than others, and that's why people will say, oh, it was instantly killed. Yeah, because he didn't have a lot of health to begin with, and that's why Percy is one of the better clones, because he starts with 150 health from the start. Melee damage and crit damage is not so important because, well, you know, melee builds are not really recommended. They are viable, but not that fun. Ranged accuracy. This is another thing that most people complain about, because they say, I'm not hitting anything. So ranged accuracy has 2 components, the accuracy and the scatter, which is not really told anywhere, but if you're going to fire a shotgun or an SMG or a machine gun or something that fires more bullets per shot, per turn action, that's going to be a problem. So accuracy is strictly for 1 bullet shot from the gun. If your gun shoots more bullets or shotgun shells, then scatter is also going to be important. So you better have a lot of accuracy, you better have, let's say, you better be in cover, and you better have a clear line of shot to the enemy. Sometimes the bullets will go over obstacles, but sometimes they'll also hit obstacles on your way. It will actually be marked very clear. The range accuracy, kind of like the middle of the road, would be about 35 bonus accuracy. Don't look at Percy, he was improved a lot. But only improved him, so the other ones are safe to use. I really wish we had an in-game guide to show all of this. Dodge chance. Dodge chance is also one of the more important stats in the game, because if you don't have enough dodge, you'll get hit a lot in the beginning. It also will show you what type of character you have. Sometimes you have a dodge class, sometimes you have a dodge clone, sometimes you have a tank clone, sometimes you have a clone that doesn't want to get hit whatsoever. So dodge is arguably the most important stat in the game, and there's no way to change that, sadly, for now. Starvation limit is also important because you need to balance all of the game modes, all of the stance modes. So you'll have sneak, normal, and run. Kind of sadly, well, in the end game you'll mostly be using running and some other stuff, so you'll be burning through a lot of calories, so the starvation limit has to be at least 2000, otherwise you will notice that you'll be burning through a lot of your food, and sometimes you run out of food. I don't know, it's just very annoying, and you will only heal if your starvation limit is at a certain threshold. So let's see someone who has a lot lower than 2000 maybe. Okay, so Kenzie Yukio. To begin with, and this is why some people complain the characters are not good or not balanced. Starvation limit is 1600. That means the amount of calories this character needs to have to heal is very, very small. Which means you need to feed this guy a lot more, even though you might think, well, it's a big bar. No. Because they will heal off a certain limit of their starvation bar. Which means you want a lot more of it, and usually if you don't heal for a couple of rounds, it will start to get noticeable. Besides, you don't really have a lot of medicine available most of the times. So starvation is very important for prolonged combat, but also exploration, but also other actions as well. Sight range, well, I guess this is something you should always have at 10. It's one of the first things you should upgrade on a clone, in my opinion. And certain clones will start with more or less, but usually they start with 8. 7 is pretty bad, so 7 view range will make the enemy almost be able to shoot you from the darkness, so be very careful at 7. 7 is the dangerous one. Pain threshold limit. The pain threshold limit should be around 12 at least, so characters with less than 10 or less than 12 will be... oh wow. Yeah, 9. So some of these classes will be very weak. They also have the special buffs. Also, something that is not mentioned or shown over here, it seems like all of the characters have 8% crit chance when the weak is either 5, 10 or 15. But I'll just go with whatever they show us over here, 8%. Or just imagine that there are 3 clones that have more crit chance than the others. One of them will be Isabella Capet. Priya Maron also has 10% extra crit chance, and I think the other one is Oberon, yeah. He should have extra crit chance. But this is not mentioned anywhere, I'm just looking at the documentation over here to kind of see it. So now you kind of get the idea of why certain clones are better or worse. And now let's go over their abilities a little bit, their special ability, weapon durability. Plus 120% weapon durability. Is this good? This is kind of amazing because this means you'll be able to use your weapons a lot more. Plus repairs will be cheaper in a way because of this, so you don't need to use repair kits as often. So if you look at all of these stats, let's look at this chance as well, which is 8. You'll notice that this is basically a clone kind of designed for SMGs and rifles, and he's kind of supposed to be a combat character because he has good accuracy, good dodge, good starvation limit. Sight range is 8, pain threshold could be better, but he shoots a lot of stuff, so this is better as a frontline unit, and it's kind of designed as a stormtrooper type of class. Now let's go over to Victoria Boudica. As you can see, she doesn't have a lot of crit, sadly. She's only... oh, she has 13%. 13% instead of 8. Interesting. So she does have a little bit of extra crit chance as well. Track accuracy, range accuracy, dodge. You can see most of the stats are pretty good, but the major flaws over here will be that the health is very, very low. Starvation limit is also below what I would call average, but the range accuracy and dodge chance are pretty good over here. And the weapon range plus 2 is actually pretty amazing because you will have a lot of good guns that shoot. But again, remember that you also have scatter, so this is a character that is very good at long range and very accurate with guns that shoot only one bullet or one projectile. So I guess even RPG launchers will be good for her, so you have to kind of make her use smaller caliber or high caliber one-shot, meaning sniper rifles, meaning even some pistols or some other stuff. So it's a very, very different character, as you can see from this one. Weapon range can also be put on other characters if you like, especially in the end game, so you can fire a lot of bullets that do a lot of damage. With the weapon range, unique buff move to some other character. Now Percy, I don't want to talk, I have spoken way too much about Percy, he's the best character in my opinion. So let's move to Isabella Capet. Now, as you can see, most of her stats are pretty good. Health is 100, which is a little on the lower side. Range accuracy and dodge chance are pretty good. Starvation is not that bad, but sight range is horrible. Pain threshold. Also, Victoria has a pain threshold that is very, very low. So that means if she gets hit a couple of times, that's kind of it. Game over. So with low health and low pain threshold, yeah, it's going to be very hard to survive any combat with her. Isabella over here, as you can see, does she have improved crit chance? She does. 18% crit chance. Well, again, I don't want to get into augmentations and some other stuff, but you can basically boost your critical chance by about 25% or more, depends on what you choose. So, if you can give her enough augments, she'll be a beast and she'll crit almost every attack. And if you give her SMGs or something that has painful crits, oh yeah. This is definitely one of those characters that is designed to kill in close range but with SMG. So she's kind of like a close range fighter, but she can take a few hits because of the pain threshold, and health being 100 will be definitely a problem. Range accuracy and dodge chance are great in my opinion. Range could be better, range accuracy could be better, but because of the dodge chance being so good, and she ignores infections, that means she can fight a lot while wounded and you'll not have a lot of issues in the early game. And well, the problem is that you'll need to use the Sorbent anyway to heal infections and alcohol addiction and some other stuff. So it's not as good as it might be, but it's definitely much better than the other ones. Ignoring infections is mostly for the early game or you don't have a lot of stuff. And besides, if you have a full cyborg, you'll not need to worry about the infections anyway. Or almost a full cyborg. This character is actually a lot better than most people think, like I say, because of the crit chance. The crit chance is amazing, and if you can play off the crit chance to a high degree and improve it slightly here and there with a secondary weapon as a pistol, that means you'll have 26 crit chance. Actually, let me look and see if I can do that. And if it actually works. I get a pistol. Backup gun, and I think that should work and it should show us the full crit chance right now. Yeah, 23. Doesn't the backup gun give you 8? Again, it's a little bit of a... Come on, I don't have a pistol here anywhere. I guess no backup guns for us. And that has ricochet, that's kind of funny. It says 8%, so again, I don't want to discuss this too much because we're going to end up in a bottomless pit because the game doesn't have an in-game wiki. So, yeah, that's kind of like the strength of the character, and you should use it as such. Now, don't worry too much about the other stuff, but this is definitely an aggressive character that has huge endgame potential, but is a little bit weaker in the beginning of the game, with a special that is not really that useful, but it can be more for economy because you don't need to take as many items with you, but you always take the sorbent anyway. So again, special is very weak, but other stats are good, and also the crit chance is the big major game changer over there. And Maximilian Roar, good health, very good ranged accuracy, dodge chance is pretty good, sight is 8, pain threshold is 10, feels no pain. So this is kind of again one of those characters that is very misleading. I would actually play the end game with this guy because he feels no pain, so that means he can fight wounded, he can take a lot of damage. Armor really works well on him because it doesn't matter if he gets hit 10 times or 1 time. If he survives, if he has enough health after that, he will survive anyway. Plus the ranged accuracy is such a big bonus and the other stats are so good. So Maximilian Roar is actually one of the characters that makes a lot of sense to play. His crit chance is, he's not that good, but he'll basically keep shooting forever until he has 0 HP, which is kind of like the point of this character. So don't think anyone is weak. Out of all of the classes I've shown so far, nobody is really weak. Especially with this guy who's relatively well balanced. And because if he doesn't feel any pain, the pain threshold limit doesn't really matter. So, that range is 8. So, very good class to have in the beginning of the game because he has basically no drawbacks and he can do a lot of stuff that the other characters cannot do. So, I guess in a way he is better than Percy because he will not get stun locked to death by pain. Arinka Wolf Node. What? That's a weird name. Crit chance is 8, so we can look at our stats. Health is 100, kind of low. Ranged accuracy 50%, dodge is 30. So as you can see, this is one of the highest ranged accuracy you can start with out of the hat. And these stats are actually pretty good. Starvation limit 1900, sight range is 9, pain threshold is 12, and also add 2 more fast slots. Now if you're wondering what the fast slots are for, well, they're for grenades, and if you can put a lot of grenades on this character will kind of be unbeatable and one of the strongest characters in the early game. Because of the ranged accuracy, because of the extra slots, because of the sight range being 9, and it will take a while until you can upgrade it to 10 anyway. Pain threshold will be 12, so in a way, this will also be one of the characters that will get some extra stuff that you'll not be able to get normally. And also those extra slots can be used not only for grenades, but also for healing items, for ammunition, and for other stuff as well. So you can definitely have a lot of fun with this character. Definitely one of the better characters in the game that kind of gets ignored because, well, better characters have just tougher abilities in the beginning of the game. But it's definitely easier to upgrade this character because think about the upgrade potential as well. I didn't mention it, but you can just start upgrading her dodge in the beginning of the game. So she doesn't need anything else but the dodge. If you put, let's say, 10 levels into dodge on this character, that will be more than enough. Plus the extra fast slots can be used to get extra items as loot, you know, just put all of the stuff, consumables over there and you have some extra inventory space, I don't know. Just a very, very versatile character that has a lot of utility as well. Mirza, satiety drain minus 60 calories, which is probably the weakest one, I would say. This is the worst bonus out of all of them because it actually does nothing. 110 health is good, ranged accuracy is 45. As you can see, you are actually still kind of preserving the same accuracy, but the dodge chance is very low. Sight range is 9, pain threshold is 9 as well, so a character that doesn't have as many benefits as the other ones. But I think some people will prefer to play this one just because they don't have to deal with the hassle of food so much in the beginning of the game. Plus, this means you can use running much more often, or even you can use a lot more stuff as well in the beginning of the game. So this is one of those characters that is a little more specialized, and the low dodge chance doesn't guarantee survival, but the ranged accuracy is pretty good. She doesn't have anything as a defensive character, but at the same time she might not need it because of the lower satiety drain, so that means this is a character designed to run, and it's designed to run a lot and all the time. So she needs the class with the running abilities. I'll do a separate video for those classes where I mix and match the clones. But this is just to kind of understand why this character is not as bad as you think and why it's pretty good baseline stats compared to the other more specialized classes. Oberon Lucas, like I said, he's one of the better ones that gets kind of outshadowed. His crit chance is huge. And the extra open slot can mean a lot of things. You can even add the QuasiMorph. Well, I guess I should show you because otherwise it's harder to explain. I didn't try out this build yet with him, but if you can give him the Mutilated Claw, which has an extra crit chance of 20 and minus 60% pain, but the QuasiMorph forces, it will be harder to deal, but in the end game you should have no issues. So if you're just going to stack crit chance on him and give him this hand over here, or you can just give him a backpack, the backpack that adds one more weapon slot. I don't think I have any on hand to show you, but you know what backpack I'm talking about. This character can become a beast, so his stats are pretty good, his accuracy is pretty good, but as you can see, that's why he has the lower dodge chance, because he has the potential to become so much stronger in the end game, in the mid game, and even in the early game. So another weapon slot means something you can loot, it means something you can have more for utility, it means you can use the grenade launcher, it means you can have a rifle, a pistol, and then the grenade launcher just as a backup weapon, or you can have a flamethrower, or even a poison thrower. So the chemical weapons can also be used by him. So just think outside of the box. You'll have normal weapons, and if you encounter an enemy that has, let's say, very strong armor against your weapons, you just switch to a weapon that is more like a laser weapon, like a chemical weapon, like an entropy gun, and so on. So this character kind of has unmatched tactical uses, but at the same time the problem will be the pain threshold is pretty low and the dodge chance is very, very, very low. So you'll get hit a lot and you'll get hit pretty hard because it doesn't have anything for defense. So you better kill everything that you see as soon as you see it. Jack Kenneth. Well, this one has pretty good health, range accuracy is kind of meh, dodge chance is pretty good, starvation limit is very high, pain threshold is kind of meh, but the reload duration is kind of like the thing where he shines more. Ever since the update, normal crit chance, reloading is very, very hard to do. So if you have a character that has a reload bonus with the basic, with his trait, and then you can also improve it further with the vest, and then you can also improve it further with the hand, cybernetic hand upgrade, it basically means you can reload any gun in one turn only. So that means this character has a huge advantage over the other characters, and you'll see it once you play the game right now. I think this is one of the best characters in the current meta just because you need to reload so much right now, and you cannot access your inventory when you are in running mode to modify some stuff here and there. So that gives this character a huge chance to kind of outshine the other characters. So you might not agree with this, I don't agree with this either, but because of the way the game was changed, this character is actually one of the best ones right now. I think all of the characters are the best ones. Maybe except for Mirza, that has the safety drain bonus, which doesn't really make sense, and the low dodge chance, and I don't know. This is the only character that doesn't really make sense in the current meta of the game. But reload duration means you can reload your shotgun a lot more often, shoot more bullets. Don't worry about that. Also, reload duration can be used for other stuff as well, like the sniper rifles that need a full reload that are not per bullet based. You can also just reload bigger stuff as well, like the bigger laser weapons which are harder to reload. Definitely one of the best characters for a new player because it has good average baseline stats, plus the reload duration, which will... I think the reload will be the biggest problem currently. If you're surrounded by a lot of enemies and you cannot spend 2 turns to reload, that's going to be a big issue. Plus, having a loaded gun always means you'll get hit a lot and you'll need to use less supplies. So definitely one of the better characters. And Kenzyukyo, again, still one of the best characters in the game. Not much to say over here. The stats are pretty amazing. I mean, range accuracy 40, dodge 40, starvation limit is the only problem. Also, the sight range is also very problematic. So as you can see on this character, you have to upgrade the sight range and the starvation limit as well. Waiting effect, dodge. This is the best perk in the whole game. No question about it. So yeah, all of the other stuff is bad. Health is kind of low, starvation limit, sight range because of the reasons I mentioned. Yeah, you can definitely, if you don't know what to do, just play Kenzyukyo and upgrade the dodge from the beginning of the game and you'll be fine. But it's one of the characters that benefits a lot from just running and gunning. And it's definitely, I don't know, it's just too good to even talk about. Don't think too much about it. Crit chance is 13%, so it's better than average, which is something the developer should really look at, because the crit chance is going to be one of those... The crit chance will become more and more important as the game evolves as well. Priya Marlon. She's actually one of the characters with the highest crit chance as well. Item capacity plus 4. Again, this is one of those things that is not as important as it is, but it can be massive in the early game. So she has a great endgame stat that no other characters have, or not many have. But the other stats are pretty, let's say, average. Range accuracy 35, dodge 30, starvation is good, sight range is kind of small, which would be the biggest problem. But as you can see, they kind of offset all of these bad stats with a lot of good stats as well. At this point, you probably understand everything, so we don't need to explain it further. This guy over here, as you can see, range is very, very good. The only problem for this character will be the low dodge chance and the low pain threshold limit. But pistol accuracy plus 40% is really underrated because there are some really mean pistols in the game currently, which they shouldn't really count as pistol, but they count as a pistol. So this is a West Side machine pistol. As you can see, it can be fully automatic. So don't think of the pistols as just one-shot weapons. They can be fully automatic and they can have a lot of other uses. For example, it still boggles the mind that this is considered a pistol. Just look at the stats. 4 range, 16 to 38 damage. It counts as a backup gun. It has no back. Rate of fire is 1 to 4. And all of the other cool stuff that I mentioned. And also remember that we have the laser handguns, which can have incendiary. And some other cool stats also attached to it. And you can basically have pistol with 5 range and stuff like that. Let me see if I can show you some of the more advanced ones. Oh yeah, don't forget you also have the laser pistols, the bigger ones. Well, not those ones, but... Yeah, laser caliber. Large caliber pistol, not a laser one. So as you can see, 28 to 40 damage. Effective range is 5. So with this 5 range, with a rate of fire of 3 bullets... what can you say? I think the problem will be the pistol capacity. I think it can only hold 8 bullets, yeah. So if you can fire 3 bullets at the same time at a range of 5, with pinpoint accuracy, nothing will survive this in the beginning of the game, and even sometimes in the mid-game. But the problem will be the reload speed, so a lot of benefits can also be attributed to the pistol classes. So, besides you'll be playing as a cowboy, besides you'll also have a much bigger reason to use the pistol, and you'll not be in trouble when you have to switch to the pistol because you cannot reload your main weapon. And I don't know, just a lot of good advantages all over the place. So as you can see, not all of the classes are weak. Actually, all of the classes are strong except for one that I don't understand why it's built like this. I mean, the range accuracy is kind of like the only thing that it has going, and it can see enemies from afar, but you really need to invest a lot of stuff in this character. Plus, you need to always be on the run, more or less, to actually make benefit of the range accuracy bonus that the class has. But even so, all of the classes are perfectly balanced, and you can reach the end game with any of these classes. It just depends on your personal play style, but you can also just take advantage of what classes you find, what guns you find in the beginning of the game, and just enjoy the game as it is. Don't worry about meta, because there is no meta currently, especially when it comes to the clones and the classes, since you can change most of them. And the classes that might seem weak right now are the ones that you don't realize that have the bonus to their crit chances, or the other bonuses, or the stuff you can do with implants, or the stuff that you can put on them, because of the vastly increased arsenal size and the very cool things you can get, like this experimental handgun. I think this still counts as a pistol. It says it's a handgun. I know, it's 100% a pistol. That does entropy damage, so as you can imagine, this will kind of kill most enemies almost straight away if you have a few buffs here and there. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for now. Ask the questions in the comments if you have any, but generally speaking, the game is advancing in the right direction in my opinion. Bye bye.